Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Meditating with Michelle. So, Michelle, can you please tell us how things have changed since last week?
So, since last week, I have had a lot of more movements in my meditations, a lot of kriyas. And in the mornings, um, when I do my meditation and the kriyas happen, and they releasing a lot of the negative energy or whatever is stored in my body, I feel lighter. I it lingers with me longer. So if I do a meditation from 5 to 6 in the morning, I might still be having those movements until 8, 9 o'clock, or sometimes even longer throughout the day. They'll come too. So it's pretty intense. However, I have adjusted to it a lot more. Like in the beginning, it was, I don't want to say traumatic because I don't want to scare anybody, but it was just the jerking movements were intense, very intense, and now they're not. I,
E- Even your ab muscles, you said you were sore because
yes,
of it.
yes, I was.
So, your body's getting used to it now.
Yes, my body's getting used to it, and I think I released a lot of it in that. For the first couple weeks, there was a lot of that intense movements and things, and now it still can be intense, but it's actually like kind of I want to say, I don't want to say euphoric, but it feels good because I know that it's releasing things. So it's actually, you know, when you feel it coming, it's like a building, and you feel this energy like building and rising and building and rising. It's kind of a it's good. It's a good thing.
So, that really does lead me to, I think, a very fundamental question. And I think this fundamental question is something that everybody who's watching, everybody who may be considering trying a Kundalini awakening should be asking themselves. And for me, it's generally, why would you want to do something like this? Can you elaborate a little?
I want to do this because I want to heal myself. I know there's a lot of hurt, a lot of baggage, and I wanted to heal. My intention when I started meditating was to heal and to enjoy life and to be happy and not feel bogged down and stressed out by life as we know it. The stresses, the politics, the work, the I just wanted to be able to enjoy life and not live the rest of my life in fear and grief, and that's why I started, and that's what I am finding now, and I'm excited that I'm on this journey, and I look forward to uh I wouldn't say complete because I don't think we ever complete the journey, but uh this phase that I'm in right now, I I'm enjoying it.
There is a phrase that you use that I like a lot. It's an encouraging phrase for me, and that's higher self.
Yeah.
So I I'm not close to even remotely being understanding of that, and I think you're starting to. But in a world where we may have a higher self help trying to help us, I have to believe that higher self wants us to figure these things out.
I do. I believe that too. The higher self is, from what I understand from my research and from what I hear myself personally, messages that come in to me and things that I hear is that they're there for us all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We just don't know they're there. They can't interfere with our plan. They can't help us unless we ask them. So in my meditations, I'll ask for healing, I'll ask for things, and it's amazing how, when the body is doing it, is releasing the negative energy, the higher self is saying, You're doing great. This is, you're on a healing, you're healing. Uh, you have to relax into it and surrender to it, because surrendering to it is how it's able to release. If you holding on to it, it's still going to stay in there, and then it's going to be worse for you later. So knowing to surrender is a big deal. You have to just surrender to it, because after all, you're not in control. We're not in control. We're just in these physical bodies with limitations, and the higher self and the Kundalini Shakti is guiding your healing journey. It's giving you what you asked for. And once you start that journey, you can't go back. It doesn't stop.
So, in a lot of ways, I think this is disproving the, I guess it's kind of a humorous cliche saying ignorance is bliss. Because of this, I would say is quite the opposite. Ignorance is not bliss. Being awakened, doing these very unknown things, that's taken us closer to bliss than the
Yes.
ignorance.
Yes. And it's being conscious of it, being aware of things that we need to work on in our life. When you feel yourself getting angry, when you feel yourself uh, having grief, when you feel yourself on a low vibrational uh, mood, or feelings, you have to release it. Unfortunately, you don't want it to come out as anger. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. It has to come to the surface to be able to be fixed, to be repaired, to be healed. It doesn't get healed if you keep pushing it down. It just becomes another layer in the layers of trauma, the layers of hurts, the layers that of programming that we've been programmed our whole lives. From from the time we're born, we're being trained to fit into the family. We're being trained to fit into the school system. We're being trained to fit in as an employee. We're being trained, and all these, and you're also experiencing relationships. So in relationships, you're being trained to be a good wife. You're being trained to be a good husband, whatever. You're being trained and conditioned to become somebody that is not you. You're being trained to uh, become somebody that fits in, but that's not the real you. So the real you is still under there, but in order for you to find the real you, you have to put in the work. You have to ask the questions. You have to ask for help from your higher self. So I think that's where you can start if someone is looking to heal.
When you first started this journey and you and I spoke, I think, and please correct me if the wording is not right, but I think at that point you were a little afraid.
Oh, I was definitely afraid because I didn't know what I was asking for. I didn't know about Kundalini. I was meditating for peace and healing, but I had no idea what I was opening up. Not that it's a bad thing, it's a good thing, but I didn't understand it, and I think unfortunately that's what happens to a lot of people. What they're asking for, they're going to get, but are they ready for it emotionally, spiritually, in life? Because it puts a hold on your life, because when these things start happening, you're trying to understand it. And in that understanding, you're doing research. You're just trying to figure out what's going on. How did this happen? What is this? Is this normal? Is this not normal? And you're just trying to understand and integrate it into your life, because your life can go upside down quick if you don't know what's happening.
And it seems like the occurrence of this, the whole conversation behind it, it really does not seem to fit into the typical social norms.
No,
You're not going to go to work and just say, guys, I have unbelievable news about my life and I'm going to share it, right? It's,
it's not something that you can share because people don't understand it. I
it,
didn't understand it. I never heard of it before.
You probably can't go to a church and
Oh
talk to your
no,
priest about that and say, hey,
no,
this is what I'm doing.
no. I think they would think that I was possessed and they'd have to pray over me. Which, when this all first started happening, I thought I was possessed because I thought I knew that I didn't do that. I didn't move my body. So what did? I didn't understand about um, Kundalini Shakti, the energy, I, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And because I had a Christian background, it confused me. It scared me. I just didn't know what was happening.
So, with that Christian background, I think we're now seeing information and enlightenment and eyes are being opened, or eyes being kind of a lack of a better way to phrase it, but it's you may have a better understanding of things, but it doesn't seem to typically fit in the perfect Catholicism box.
No, no, this definitely doesn't fit into the box of because everyone has this Kundalini energy in their body, male, female, every single person that is here on this planet. But it's dormant. It's been suppressed for so long that, and unless you're seeking to release it, or some people have spontaneous Kundalini, some people get in a car accident and that stirs that the Kundalini at the base of the spine gets moved, or some people are doing Kundalini yoga, which I guess they're moving their bodies. I've never been, but I heard a lot of Kundalini yoga where they're opening, they're doing movements to try to actually release the Kundalini energy. But I wonder if they know exactly what they're doing because you know, like I said, once you start the process, you can't turn it off. It takes over your body. Your body is doing things that it never did before, and it's unusual, very unusual.
Now, kind of correct me if I'm misstating it, but in a lot of ways, because this is kind of countering social norms, I think for the ladies that may be watching you and watching these videos, I think a part of this growth, a part of this awakening is going to give them independence. It's going to empower them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the men who may watch this, where it's going to conflict with social norms, is we're taught to dominate. We're taught to not embrace emotions. We're taught to suppress our feelings, right? Since youth. But you were mentioning that may have a heightened level of emotions now,
Yeah.
and for a woman that might be considered typically socially more acceptable, even though you're balancing that heightened emotion with liberation, with inner
Right.
strength. The men who are watching this, if they end up becoming more emotional, that again, that doesn't fall under typical social norms, right? But
No, it doesn't. But you have to, men, women, anybody that's going through this, that the energy that's rising in your body is trying to cleanse all of those the traumas. And just because you're a man now doesn't mean that you didn't have trauma as a child. Maybe you were abused, maybe someone said something to you, maybe you were bullied in school. All of those things, if you haven't dealt with them, they're layered on top of each other and they're staying stagnant in your body. So when this Kundalini awakens, and it's trying to raise your vibration in your body and it's hitting those blocks that I talked about last week. So as it hits those blocks, it's going to bring those things up. And you're going to think, why is it bringing this up? I've been trying to suppress this for years. I thought that was gone. I was over that. And all of a sudden, all these old feelings are coming back up because it's it, it can't heal it if it's still stuck in there. It has to come out. You have to release it. You have to surrender it and let it go in order to heal. So I think that's goes for men, women, anybody. You can't. You just have to surrender, let it out, cry, whatever. It's going to come out somehow, and you don't want it to come out in anger or, uh, you know, mad. fear, it'll come out somehow. And if you don't let it out, and that's why when I do my meditations, I allow myself at least an hour to allow those things to heal. Because they do come up. This morning I had a lost my fiance 20 years ago, and I was crying hysterically, because that I suppressed it. Because we're taught, when are you going to get over it? You got to get over this. You got to get over this, and you go back to work. You put on your face and you man up and do what you got to do to make a living and live. But it's still there, and in order to heal it, you have to let it come out. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
So just generally, and I guess this might be a good point to close it. Overall, since you started this, are you happy you've done it?
I am. I am happy I've done it. I mean, it's put a lot of things in my life that were going on hold temporarily, but it's opened my eyes to appreciate life from a different perspective than what I was doing it. It was always like a dread. Oh, you got to get up for work. Oh, you got to do this. Now I get up, I jump up out of bed. I appreciate the blue skies and the green leaves and the trees and the water running, and I appreciate the little things, the flowers, and I mean, it sounds hippie-ish, but those things that you're so stressed out that you don't even stop to see it. And that's what, when they say stop and smell the roses, it's made me have to stop and smell the roses. So,
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Michelle.
all right. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Have a great night. Bye bye.